I want to talk about the trend that I saw here on TikTok about President Trump Executive Order 1964 ban. I've seen a lot of people talk about it and they're upset. So what I do, I research. I don't get on the bandwagon. I just research what's really going on. And I did. And I actually looked up on the White House and I go underneath the executive orders that President Trump did. And I'm looking at the clause F as in Frank, AR 52.222-21. And it says, under the Federal Acquisition Regulation, a set of rules used by federal agencies to write contracts between the government and contractors. A clause requiring any company receiving a contract to maintain integrated workplaces. The contractor agrees that it does not and will not maintain or provide for its employees any segregated facilities at any of its establishments, and that it does not and will not permit its employees to perform their services at any location under its control where segregated facilities are maintained. That's what the regulation says. It also says, under the regulation, integrated facilities are defined as work areas, drinking fountains, transportation, housing, restaurant, and other areas that do not segregate based on race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or national origin. Now, I wanted to say that because the difference between integrated is when you all come together, and segregated is when you're separate. Okay? So I think the hype is that they're saying that we're not going to be integrated anymore. He's taking us back to, the Jim Crow era. But you don't understand. When I worked in a healthcare facility for over 30-some years, we used to have a lot of contractors come in, and they would not be working directly with us at our facility. They would have their own facilities. They would hire their own people, and believe it or not, a lot of their peoples wasn't even citizens of the United States. They were anyone that they hired. And even over around the world, we have a lot of contractors, that are in other countries that they're getting paid, by taxpayers' dollars, the American taxpayers' dollars. So what he's saying is that there's not going to be any special treatment for anyone. Everyone's going to be integrated together. So he's saying that any contractor, if you have a contract with the federal government or any contract with any type of facility, you need to integrate with one another. And I know, working with a lot of different contractors in healthcare, that they didn't come to like our, like a lot of the events that we went to. We didn't have all that together. They were separate. They were always in a different location. So what he's saying, now we need to integrate and come together. So if you want to look this up, I would look it up on the White House, go underneath the executive order, or you can look it up under the FAR clause 52.222-21, and it will tell you exactly what the executive order is. I want to also talk about how Yahuwah says we need to be separate, Israel and Yehuda. Now, we were told to be separate from the beginning with Abraham when Yahuwah made a covenant with him. And the reason why he wanted us to be separate, because we were supposed to be the nation that was supposed to set the example for the other nations. We were supposed to set the standard. We were supposed to show them that Yahuwah was the king. He was the ruling king, and that he was the only king that any other nation wanted to have. And if you read in the Bible, especially in the Old Testament, all the other nations were always afraid of the Israelites because they knew that Yahuwah always fought their battles. And if they was going to fight against them, they would have to fight against Yahuwah, and they were sorely afraid. So in 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14 through 18, I'm going to read it out the Message, and I'm going to explain to you why Yahuwah wanted us to be separate. Don't become partners with those who reject Yahuwah. How can you make a partnership out of right and wrong? That's not partnership. That's war. And as you can see, we've had a lot of war going on as a people. Is light best friends with dark? Does Yahushua go strolling with the devil? Do trust and mistrust hold hands? Who would think of settling up pagan idols in Yahuwah's holy temple? But that is exactly what we are, each of us a temple in whom Yahuwah lives. Yahuwah himself put it this way: I'll live in them, move into them, I'll be their Yahuwah, and they'll be my people. So leave the corruption and compromise. Leave it for good, says Yahuwah. Don't link up with those who will pollute you. I want you all for myself. I'll be a father to you. You'll be sons and daughters to me. The word of the Master, Yahuwah. He wants us to be separate. He wants us to be separate in these last days. And he's trying to pull us away. He's trying to speak to his sons and daughters. Open up your ears to listen. Don't get caught up in the trends. Don't get caught up in the gossip. Don't get caught up in the backbiting. If you don't understand what's going on, research and find out. And pray. Ask Yahuwah to give you a revelation what is really going on. Don't start spatting at the mouth and start saying things that are not true. Just trust Yahuwah, because he's telling his children exactly what to do and what to listen to right now.